Clearly, we're just working on a couple things here, but you may look behind you and notice that there are some lovely things for you to do, and you all are maybe going, that's for the children. So be a child today, if you would like, and go back, take a seat at one of the tables. There's some crayons and some pencils and some other things. Please fill in some of those seats back there. Be the first to stand up and walk back, because it's not for the children, it's for all of you as well, okay? So please, some of you go back, take a seat, take a spot, while Ashleigh grabs like one more thing, and then we'll get this show rolling. And I think there are some clipboards as well for those of you that maybe don't want to go back there. There are some clipboards, so you can have a thing that you could sit in these seats up here. So if you'd like a clipboard, you could raise your hand, or just walk back there and grab one, because you may need a crayon or a pencil or a something or other. Wanda's already ready. She has her handful of crayons. And for those of you that are like, I don't know what's going on, go with it. Grab a picture, grab a clipboard. Should we sing?
Yes, that would be a great thing.
All right, we're going to start with singing our gathering hymn for December, which is Let Christmas Come on 224. Peng Cheng, will you play through it once just so everybody hears it, because you may or may not be familiar with it. And then we'll sing it all together.
I don't hear the mic.
There it is.
Good morning. Okay. My name is Ashleigh Rhodes. I am the Director of Programs for Children and Youth here at St. John's. And today, we have an intergenerational service that is hands-on. So I'm just going to start by explaining kind of the goal. So the title of the service is Mindfulness and Messy Miracles. This is a season when many folks are thinking of miracles. However, miracles are around us every day if we pause to look. So this is a service designed to give us maybe a little bit of a chance to have a direct experience of transcending mystery and wonder. But it's probably going to be a little messy, so that's why that's in the title. Judging by the, I'm glad I put that in the title since we're getting started late and everything, so. So just to kind of explain, we're going to have different hands-on things that you can do throughout the service. There's tables in the back with coloring implements and coloring pages. I see people already back there coloring, which is perfect. There's a couple of tables back there for the little ones. If anybody feels so inclined, I know many of us are, it's mostly the kids that are going to want to sit on the floor. But if you want to sit on the floor up here, that is totally an option. I have clipboards at the back if you want to grab one and do some coloring at your seat. Otherwise, you are welcome to observe. You do not have to participate in any of these activities. But I do hope that you'll at least grab a clipboard and a colored pencil and color when you're comfortable doing that. So the very first part, so most of these activities are adapted from a Unitarian Universalist course that's a very expanded course about miracles, and I've taken little snippets. So if this interests you, I can direct everybody to the much more expanded version of this. But the first part is called the miracle of close attention. And there are a few bowls at the back with pine cones in them. And there are coloring sheets of various kinds. A couple of them are just of pine cones with numbers. And if you color them in order, you will see the Fibonacci sequence, which is this is a natural sequence of numbers in nature. There's some actual pine cones back there. There are a few pictures of spirals. So those are all, the goal is to have a chance to sit down and look at that. So I feel like you guys are listening to me talk, which is very respectful. But I really want to give you a chance, if you have any interest in coloring at all, thank you, Nancy, please go get a clipboard. I was totally, late today, and everybody sat down like they expected to. But please go get a clipboard, get some coloring pages, get some pencils. Because really, if you do nothing else today, if you sit and do some coloring, I will be pleased, okay? And if you are a child and you are sitting in the chapel, please come out of the chapel and sit at the tables in the sanctuary. Pretty, please. There's a reason I moved the tables out of the chapel, if you are at all willing. While we do that, let's actually go ahead and light the chalice if you're comfortable. But please do get a clipboard, get some coloring.
I'm going to do this.
So, yes, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I didn't introduce you, so
It's okay. Let's see. We light this chalice to celebrate Unitarian Universalism. This is the church of the open mind. This is the church of the helping hands. This is the church of the loving heart. Together, we care for the church and each other.
Well,
Yeah.
will you actually light the chalice? And I'm gonna, yes. I'm gonna have them do that again. So our chalice is officially lit. Thank you to Melissa Rowland, who is our worship associate today and is putting up with my messiness, and I really appreciate it. But I do actually want us to do that again if we can put the slide up, because this is an example of a chalice lighting that is really accessible to children. And so I know you all were distracted, but just let's, this is kind of an example of an everyday ritual that can become a miracle just through the fact of repetition and its familiarity. So if you don't mind just doing it one more time. We light this chalice to celebrate Unitarian Universalism. This is the church of the open mind. This is the church of the helping hands. This is the church of the loving heart. Together we care for the church and each other. Thank you. The miracles of the church seem to me to rest not so much upon faces or voices or healing power coming suddenly near to us from afar off, but upon our perceptions being made finer, so that for a moment our eyes can see and our ears can hear what is there about us always. Willa Cather. Do you want to do the welcome? Because I completely skipped over that part. Yeah. Okay. I haven't done the actual welcome. So welcome to St. John's. And again, my name is Ashleigh Rhodes, and I am the Director of Programs for Children and Youth. Our minister, the Reverend Mitra Jafarzadeh, is on sabbatical. Reverend Alice Diebel is the sabbatical minister in her absence. And today you have me. And Melissa Rowland is our worship associate today. And I think we will do our hymn.
All right. Please rise in body or spirit, and we'll sing hymn 356, Will You Seek in Far Off Places?
Please join me in our affirmation. This is the mission of our faith, to teach the spiritual art of hospitality, to revere both the critical mind and the generous heart, to prove that diversity need not mean divisiveness, and to witness to all that we must hold the whole world in our hands. We are now going to have the joys and concerns. If you have a joy or concern, you can come forward and collect a stone to place in the sand. And if you would like something spoken from the pulpit, please fill out there should be papers, or you can make a little note and bring it and just leave it here by the sand. We have a couple of spoken joys and concerns. Joy, Noah Orr, graduates from UC this week with a degree in computer science. And we did place a stone in the sand for joys and concerns not spoken or acted upon this morning. Thank you.
In the 13th century, a mathematician named Leonardo da Pisa, later nicknamed Fibonacci, looked at natural objects and observed natural processes and noticed the frequent appearance of a particular sequence of numbers. For whatever reason, I'm a math person, but for whatever reason, I really like the Fibonacci sequence. And it's very... Shout out for math. It's very simple to construct, but then looks random and complicated when you see it. So you start with 1 and 1, and then 1 plus 1 equals 2, and that's the next piece of the sequence. 1 plus 2 equals 3. 2 plus 3 equals 5. 3 plus 5 equals 8, and so on. So the sequence is 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 35, and all of that. So you think, okay, well, that's just a trick. That's just okay, fine. But the reality is that Fibonacci found it in nature. So there's 2 different coloring sheets that take a pine cone pattern and actually show how you can find it in the spirals, the 5 and the 8. And there's also something else called the golden spiral that you can find in seashells. So there's this question of, understanding the natural world mathematically, seeing patterns. It's one of those things where you look at it in a different way and it seems more miraculous because there's something in there that you never saw before. It's always been there, you just didn't see it before. So that's the miracle that I'm asking you to think about in terms of that Fibonacci sequence is, are there things that are there all of the time, but we don't see that miracle until we pay attention to it? So that's the first kind of miracle. I'm being messy. I didn't explain that before. But then we have this other section, which is the miracle of transformation. Where's one of my kids? Do I have a few kid volunteers? I'm looking at you. Will you guys come up here? I need 4 volunteers. So I'm sending back 4 trays of cornstarch and water. That's all that's in there. It's very simple, and it's messy, and so that's why I sent the dish towels back. But you mix together something simple like cornstarch and water, and it turns into this very strange substance that kids love, and I actually like it. It's something that, like, if you squeeze it, it appears to turn hard, and then if you let go, then it lets go. It's completely just defies understanding. I've played with this many, many times, and it's still like, I don't understand. I haven't looked into I'm sure there's chemistry and physics involved, why it does it, but still, it doesn't act the way most liquids that we encounter should act. And that's the other idea of miracle, is not just something that was there that was always there, but we didn't see it, but something that transforms in a way that surprised you. And just, if you dare to push on it, maybe things behave in a way that you didn't expect. And you also have the other activity that I have back there that I'm just going to say now. I have put stacks of paper and scissors back there, and one of the things that I hoped that we would do was cut snowflakes. How many people know how to make snowflakes out of a piece of paper and scissors? Oh, Erin, I love you. I love you. A snowflake is a miracle. And this transformation of water into snow, or snow back into water, is a miracle. So, so that's why that white paper's back there, and that's why the scissors are back there. So I encourage anybody that's ready to do that. I have a couple of stories to read after we do the membership moment, so I promise it's not all just hands-on. But I know where. Alicia Russell is supposed to do our membership moment, but I can't actually. Oh, I couldn't see you. You come up, please. Sorry, it's your turn.
You know I want to be back there. That's where I'm going afterwards. Good morning. I'm Alicia Russell, and I'm a member of St. John's Unitarian Universalist Church. I serve on the leadership team, the programming for children and youth team, and am involved with the meditation group. Thank you, Pat, for inviting me to speak about why I am rooted in this fellowship. I've been a seeker of something greater for as long as I can remember. My invisible friend growing up was my guardian angel, and we talk and sing, especially when I was out in the woods and I'd climb a tree. I was raised Catholic, and I loved the rituals. I loved the candles, the incense, the music, stained glass. In high school, I started questioning the church's authority and wondered if they got it wrong. So I went religion shopping, partly to rebel against my dad telling me I wasn't allowed to. It only took a few years for me to come to the conclusion that there is a God or some greater force in the world, but religions have no monopoly on what it was, so I stopped looking for it there. In the early 90s, I joined a group, and one of their suggestions was to seek through prayer and meditation to improve my conscious contact with a higher power. The search was back on. But this time, I explored traditions of some Native North Americans. It was awesome, but when I went to larger gatherings, I felt like I was appropriating someone else's culture, and that felt wrong. So I decided to practice Native European traditions, being that. And this is what brought me to St. John's. Starting on the autumnal equinox, I would choose a deity, a color, a rune, and an animal to guide me through the year. In 1999, I chose the God of Abraham, and my intention was to visit churches, temples, and mosques to understand this deity better. That year in Cincinnati, people were rioting in response to the murder of Timothy Thomas. When I visited St. John's, I was so impressed with how people were rallying in response to this injustice. I never left. After all, one of my Native American friends told me that it is good to pray for people who are hungry. It's just much more effective if you give them food. At St. John's, I witnessed people trying to make the world better, not just through prayer, but through volunteering, marching, and contributing financially. It took me a couple years to join St. John's, and I've had a period where my participation has been dormant. But I am grateful for this community. Being a member isn't necessarily easy or simple. I've been very disconcerted that our minister reported that she experiences Islamophobia at St. John's. I'm also grateful that I got to reach out to a board member, and she told me how the board is addressing this and making things better. I'm also really concerned that at least in this year alone, at least 3 of our board members have left the church during their term of service. And I'm not sure how to address this, but I want to try to figure it out. When I mentioned this to a friend during lunch this week, she said, "But I thought your church was a good one with awesome principles." I said, "It is, but it's still made of just people." At St. John's, we're not perfect. We don't have all the answers, but I believe together we can be better. I'm happy to be on this journey with you fine folks and invite you to stay or join as your conscience guides you. Thank you.
I'm going to follow Alicia with a story, a Celtic pagan story from Ireland. Long ago in Ireland, a few wealthy landowners owned great tracts of fertile land, while the poor were forced up into the rocky hills to eke out a living from the sparse soil. One year the crops went bad, and the poor could barely scrape together an onion or a carrot for their supper. Bridget went to one of the richest landholders and said, "The harvest is grim this year, and the peasants need your help." The landholder replied, "Bridget, I'll think on it. But in truth, if the people would only work harder, they surely could fend for themselves." A few weeks passed, and the situation grew worse. Bridget went again to the landowner and said, "The peasants have no food. They've taken to the hills to eat shamrocks and grass. What will you do for them?" "Now, Bridget," said the landowner, "don't get pushy. I'm a busy man. Why is it you're here talking to me when you should be talking to the peasants about what they can do for themselves? I've no time for this. Now be gone with you." Another week passed, and the situation became grave. Bridget went again to the landholder, and in a rage she cried, "You have done nothing to help, and now the children are starving. I demand that you give land to the poor." "Well, Bridget," said the landholder, "it couldn't be that bad. You don't look to be starved yourself, nor lacking for warm clothes. 'Tis a fine wool cloak you wear on your back. Let it not be said I'm a stingy man. Here's what we'll do. You go out to the plain, choose any spot, spread your white cloak on the ground, and the plot that it covers, I'll donate to the poor." "Tax-free?" asked Bridget. "All right, tax-free," said the landholder, "but don't ask for anything more." So that day, Bridget and 3 of her sisters went out to the very center of the fertile plain. Each took hold of a corner of the white cloak. Bridget said, "All right now, girls, pull it taut." They did so, and then Bridget cried, "Now, take a step backward." Each of them took a step back, one to the north, one to the south, one to the east, and one to the west. And as they did, the cloak expanded. Then Bridget cried, "All right, keep walking." They did, and as they did so, the cloak continued to expand until it covered the whole expanse of the plain. That afternoon, as usual, the landholder went up into his tower to look out and survey his lands. At first glance, it looked as if snow had fallen. Then he saw that the rocks above were bare. "The cloak," he whispered, falling to his knees, now seeing providence at work in the matter. When he saw Bridget striding up the walkway, he leaned out the window and cried, "Mercy, Bridget, I'll keep my word. The whole of the plain belongs to the poor, and I'll throw in 100 bags of oat seed that they might prosper by it." "That's fine for tomorrow," said Bridget. "But what will you do for today?" "For today?" said the landholder. "Why, a feast for today, a feast for all." "What sort of feast?" asked Bridget. "Why, a feast of stews and roasts and compotes and mashes and stuffings and jellies and cakes," replied the landholder. "And bags to take home?" asked Bridget. "Why, of course, bags to take home," assured the landholder. "Very well then," said Bridget, "I'll spread the word." "Aye, Bridget, I'm sure you will, and I don't mind saying that if you spread the word as efficiently as you spread that cloak, not a soul will miss this feast." Now, that's a fun story. And there's a miracle in there in that a cloak covered the entire plane. But really, the miracle is inside the landowner. It's the transformation of his point of view. I'm sure we all can think of someone, including ourselves, where thinking of transforming an opinion or transforming a feeling or an experience feels impossible. Absolutely impossible. But one day, often when we're not actually paying attention, it seems to happen. Now, in this story, it happened in very dramatic fashion, and sometimes that's what happens, and that's what happens in movies and such. But my experience is a lot of those times those transformations happen when we're not looking, but they are no less miraculous for happening that way.
We will now collect the offering for the good work of the church.
Anybody have a snowflake back there? Anybody made any snowflakes? Erin said she was too busy coloring. That's okay. I was curious. I just want to think about snowflakes for a second. People don't change by melting into water or freezing into ice. But we do change naturally all the time. Changing is part of life. As we grow older, we grow taller. We might start to like different foods from when we were little. We become someone who plays soccer or swims or does multiplication. We're learning, growing, changing inside and out. This one, who some of you might remember has done this exact thing other times when I've done this service, is definitely taller and heavier. And has very strong opinions sometimes, right? Yeah. A unique person is quite different from a unique snowflake. Snowflakes cannot make choice decisions about how they will change, but people can. Sometimes we can help another person change in important ways. We can all change inside to treat people with caring and fairness. I have another story to tell that's very familiar about not just one person changing, but a group of people making a miracle happen. This is a story about Jesus. A large crowd were following Jesus because they saw the signs that he was doing for the sick. Jesus went up to the mountain and sat down there with his disciples. Now the Passover, the festival of the Jews, was near. When he looked up and saw a large crowd coming toward him, Jesus said to Philip, "Where are we to buy bread for these people to eat?" He said this to test him, for he himself knew what he was going to do. Philip answered him, 6 months' wages would not buy enough bread for each of them to even get a little. One of his disciples, Andrew, said to him, "There is a boy here who has 5 barley loaves and 2 fish. But what are they among so many people?" Jesus said, "Make the people sit down." Now there was a great deal of grass in the place, so they sat down. 5,000 people in all. How many is 5,000, Juliana? Is that more people than in this room?
Yes.
Yeah. That's a lot of people. And they're all hungry. What are they going to do?
I don't know.
So what Jesus did was he took the loaves and he gave thanks. And then he distributed them to those who were seated, and also the fish, as much as they wanted. And when they were satisfied, he told his disciples, "Gather up the fragments left over so that nothing may be lost." And they gathered them up. And from the fragments of 5 barley loaves left by those who had eaten, they filled 12 baskets. When the people saw the sign that he had done, they began to say, "This is indeed the prophet who has come into the world." Now, we can treat this, for me, as somebody who, sees Jesus as an example. The example to me is sharing and having faith that we will be provided for. And honestly, last night we had our gingerbread house building party last night, and we made sugar cookies. And there was 30 plus adults here, and there was 15 plus kids. And I was a little scattered yesterday, just like I was scattered today. But I had people who helped me. I had Pat Brown, who washed 1,000,000 dishes. And I had Alicia Russlow, and I had Bill Gordon, and then I had all of the lovely parents who helped. And so I was running around the whole time, but everything got done. And everyone had a wonderful time. And the kids had a good time, and we made cookies, right? And that spirit of community and that spirit of us all doing a little bit is how it was one of my best experiences of church in a long time, and it really felt like community to me. It felt, no. Juliana.
Can you help me choose a picture?
So this is my experience of community, somebody helping me out. So I really do believe that we can achieve great things when we work together and when we are compassionate with each other and kind, and that is how we change things. So there's a section in this course where you really focus on social change and all of the things that I'm sure, would like to see happen, and thinking about how we can work together to make that happen. And we don't have time to work on that this morning, and really that is the work that we do every day. But this is my but I just, anytime that you think about something that you're worried is never going to happen, and you don't know how it's going to happen, what I suggest for you, what I give to you is the thought of all of those personal changes that you know happened, and they happened when you weren't necessarily paying attention. There are changes that will happen when we're not looking. And also that idea of, I hope that you have experiences that you can call on of times when your community came together, this community came together, and things happened and you didn't really know how they happened. Magic. I mean, I know Pat Brown isn't magic, but the number of dishes that she washed seems a little magic. So hold on to that. I know sometimes we need that to hold on to when we're worried. Things happen. And the miracle is that when we let go, sometimes that allows us to see the changes that are happening or will happen. We have another hymn, which I'm going to try not to interrupt Robert because I've sent him to the back. But we need him for this because I cannot lead a hymn, I promise. I chose this one. It's called Light One Candle. It's a Peter, Paul, and Mary song, but it is a Hanukkah song. It's about the miracle of that, but it's also focused on the social change aspect of it. So it's hymn 221.
Chord start. It's all over the sanctuary.
Thank you.
Light one candle, 221. Please rise.
We have a few announcements. Let's see. On Sunday, December 11, Reverend Alice will ask us how we are authentically St. John's. Please send her your thoughts by email or text by Tuesday, December 6, so she can incorporate your thoughts into that service. Nancy Henry has coordinated Santa's Market. Nancy, did you want to say something? I don't know where she went. Oh, there she is. Don't touch it. It's good. It's good. Yeah, it'll work.
It'll work?
Yeah, it'll work.
Okay. Santa's Kitchen. I don't know if you remember last year, we had a hugely successful event of people baking and making soups and bringing them in, and then the rest of you all bought lots of stuff, and we made $1,174 last year. Ooh, yes, we can make more this year if you start baking now. We need cookies, muffins, breads of all kinds, pies, cakes, cupcakes, coffee cakes, soup, and candy, and I don't know, whatever you're thinking about. We need them. Please bring. Next 2 Sundays, December 11th and the 18th. We'll start before the service. As soon as you bring something in, it might disappear because those who are here practicing singing or whatever, they tend to get, the early birds get the best, or the early birds get the stuff that's here early. Let's put it that way. Sorry. The cost, we don't put prices on anything. You pay what you think is worth. Or what you're willing to donate. And I need a couple more volunteers who might take money on either one of those Sundays. So thank you, Lynn. And I have some others too. So thank you, Melanie. If you have any questions, find me. I'll be happy to help.
Thank you, Nancy. We also have announcement. Nicole, where did she? Yep.
Remember, you hate to rap, you love to rap. Those of us that hate to rap are going to bring supplies, any rapping supplies that you love, that you people that love to rap, we're going to make your heart swoon with ribbons and paper and anything that you want. Food, all of us that hate it, we're going to bribe you. And you're going to wrap our gifts. Hopefully, please. December 16th, 6 to 9 p.m., that's Friday night, 2 weeks. So if you hate to rap, bring all the supplies for someone that does. If you love to rap, bring your artistic love. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole. We also have another announcement. Today, immediately after church, there will be a conversation in the chapel about becoming a Found House host congregation. If you have questions about what Found House is, if you have questions about how we're becoming involved, please join us in the chapel after church.
The last thing is that there are cookies in the kitchen from our sugar cookie baking last night, some of which are iced and ready to eat, and some of which need icing. So we have all of our supplies. So I know there's some kids here who were there last night and some who were not. So if you would like to ice some cookies in there. And if you want to eat some cookies, please do. I don't need my kids to eat those cookies. That was my daughter Meredith saying we are going to eat the cookies. The last part of the service today the last hands-on part, is sharing miracle moments. The greeters kindly handed out a half sheet of paper with your order of service that invites you to share a miracle moment. This is completely optional. You are encouraged to draw, you are encouraged to write. This can be anything that is a miracle to you. The miracle of, this is just an opportunity to mention or share something, a personal transformation. Anything that for you was a moment of connecting to that immense wonder and mystery that is this existence. If you want to share that with anybody who leaves one of those on one of the tables, I will collect those and I will share those. But I do invite you to contemplate, what is a miracle to you, and what have been those moments in your life that felt like a miracle? We'll have our last hymn.
Let's all rise and end by singing hymn 326. It is going to sound very familiar because it is the exact same tune as the song we've chosen for the month, Let Christmas Come. Yeah, neither did I. But it'll be very familiar, but I think it's, speaking of things that are familiar, often we have many hymns that are the same tune, but the words are different. So listen to these words, sing these words, and feel the words and have it guide you throughout the rest of the week. So let all the beauty we have known, 326.
Thank you for spending. Thank you for spending this time with us today. Whatever your relationship to the idea of a miracle, I hope that this time together today has given you something to fill your heart, or make you laugh, or just give you something to carry you through the day or the week and longer. Thank you.